Welcome to the second day of the Community Networks webinar organized by the Haitian Internet Society chapter with the support of HTIC, Internet Society Foundation, and Internet Society. My name is Shernon Osepa, and I'm the Director of Caribbean Affairs and Development at Internet Society, and it's an honor and pleasure to be your moderator. So let me start with giving the chair of the Haitian chapter, Obed Cindy, the opportunity again to say just a few opening remarks, and then we will start officially. So Obed, just say a few opening remarks again. Thank you.
Thank you, Shernon. Thank you, Owat, for your support. Thank you to all the Internet Society staff. And thank you to all the participants for support this initiative. Thank you to all. Yesterday, with speakers from different regions and stakeholders, we had a great overview of community networks. The fact, the challenge, the successful case are all important to converge our actions in a sustainable societal project. Today, we are going to learn. We are still going to learn. The need to act is there, and the capacity to act is necessary in a sense that reflects the opinion of all social layers. With ISOC Haiti, we always advocate for open debate between stakeholders, and we have done training for local leaders, one of our priorities. I'm sure that many developing countries can take advantage of these global sessions to get an idea of how to overcome the challenges and create the first community networks so that the internet access is no longer a dream for some people, but a tool that leads to economic progress. Thank you to all. Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you, Shernon.
Thank you very much, Obed. So basically, yesterday we have looked at three things. We have looked at the Haitian internet landscape and the need for community networks. Then we have had some discussions regarding policy and technical recommendations for community networks. And then we also looked at development opportunities for Haiti. So today we are going to focus on three country cases. And based on best practices and lessons learned, stakeholders in Haiti could take then the decision what is best, what is the best way in order for them to develop their own community network. So without further ado, I would like to invite, let's say, our presenters. We are looking at three country cases, as I did mention, and I'm going to start with the first one, which is the country Colombia. And from Colombia, we have Lilian Rojas from Colnodo, and she is going to share with us Colombia's community network experience. So Lilian, please go ahead. Thank you. Please unmute, Lilian, please unmute.
Okay, thank you. Good morning to all. Thank you for this invitation. I'm Lilian. I work with an NGO called Colnodo. I'm going to put a short presentation. Let me a second, please. Well, Colnodo is a Colombian NGO who has been working on ICT projects for development for more than 25 years in different regions of the country. Colnodo is based in Bogota, and we have been working in connectivity issues since our beginning. At the first time, bringing email access to some NGOs and organizations, but then when the big companies begin to bring this kind of services, then we start to bring web hosting and databases and other services also for NGOs and for communities and people that have difficulties to access to this kind of services from private companies. But we always see that in rural communities, there is a very big problem, it's a very big problem to access to the internet. In Colombia, as in many Latin American countries, there is a great connectivity gap between rural and urban environments. Only 1 in 6 households has access to the internet in the rural communities. Government programs such as internet access centers offer the opportunity to provide connectivity in those regions, reaching remote areas. However, one of the big problems is their sustainability, because when resources run out, the centers stop working. Worse still, in some places, even though the equipment arrives and is installed, they do not provide a real service for many reasons. Sometimes there is no clear organization, or the community cannot use the resources that they have. No one knows how to repair the equipment. There is no clarity in the hours of operation of the centers. The community doesn't know how to use the services and how to make the most of them. Large companies have no interest in these places because they are not profitable, so they are not interested in sustaining the service. What we have seen is that the only alternatives that reach some of these places and persist are those of small entrepreneurs or organizations that know well the territories, that are close to the people, and have facilities to move, install, repair equipment in those regions. In many cases, group of citizens, peasants associations, cooperatives, or others seeking to organize themselves to manage a collective solution, developing their technological autonomy with principles of solidarity and collective well-being. Although these groups don't always have the technical knowledge, in our experience, if there is interest, the desire to learn, and the will to work collectively, it can be done. At this time, we are accompanying 3 community networks process in Colombia, each with different communities and characteristics. One of the projects is Mani. Mani is a small town in the east of the country, in the plains area, where residents of a village got together to share a broadband internet connection. In the town, they connect to a fiber network, and using Wi-Fi links, they share the connection with 10 farms and a rural school, one rural school. The maintenance work of the network is voluntary. They have plans to connect other farms that have requested to join. Right now, one of the biggest problems is the limited availability of equipment because the pandemic. Then it's difficult to have new equipment at this moment. But they are working right now. The other 2 experiences are in the mountainous areas of Colombia. One of them is Reading, a 2G mobile network pilot that covers around 5 villages with a community cellular network from which calls from which calls and text message can be made. To start this network, a long dialogue with the national government was necessary, which drove an agreement allowed the use of frequencies that are not free to use in the framework, that are not free to use. Then with this agreement, you can use these frequencies that are not free. You have to pay for use that frequencies, but with this agreement that we have with the government, we can use the frequencies. And now we have our GSM network, community network working. Currently, there is around 90 users in the villages. We want to have 400 users at the end of the pilot. The process has not been without difficulties, especially due to the problems in the electrical infrastructure that have caused damage to the equipment, and the lack of knowledge of the equipment that we have, because it's a very specific technology. But we are learning from this process, and we are advancing. The most recent network that we are accompanying is also in a mountainous area, where 3 indigenous communities, one group of ex-combatants from FARC, and one peasant community coexist and live together. All of them are working in the implementation of a network with an intranet services, with local services and local content, as well as an internet connection using long-distance Wi-Fi links and mesh technology. Some of the challenges for these networks is the knowledge of technology, the lack of knowledge about technologies, also about methodologies, not only about technological things, but also about methodologies, and knowing how to start. In some places, the lack of community organizational structures. There is not regulation in our country, then it's not so easy access to, for example, funds, or some difficulties to register our networks. The poor infrastructure there in roads, electricity, security, the poor conditions of the infrastructure, and also that the process take time, and we need not only technical skills, but also administrative, financial capacities that are developed little by little and from experience. So what we just suggest is there to start, understand that the process takes time and that you can learn along the way. Work to consolidate an ecosystem where different actors work together, each doing their part. Communities are fundamental and the basis for sustainability process, but the support of values to share capacities in different areas, universities, organizations can make the journey faster. Generate a regulation with the support of different stakeholders that facilitates access to the infrastructure, broadband, access to the broadband networks, access to the spectrum. Identify and establish resource funds to start, taking into account the poorest infrastructure that need money. Recognize the value of the group of people who are part of the process, more than the technology. Understanding that the greatest value in the group of the people who are working, caring for the people, generating capacities, and learning by doing in solidarity. Some opportunities, the experiences that already exist, we can learn from those experiences. There is a lot of technologies. The market for technological devices is developed. There are low-cost solutions used by wireless service providers around the world. And also there are free hardware and software that has been developed thinking in community networks, then there is the opportunity to use this. And the attention in the environment, what is available, what is needed, the alleys, the obstacles, led to achieve a process where there is more opportunity to sustainability, knowing the context and knowing the people and the things that you have around. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Lilian. What we're going to do, we're going first through all the counter cases, and then I will give you the opportunity to ask questions. So I see a lot of people are raising hands. I didn't ignore you. We'll look at them, but let's go first through all the presentations, and then we will have a discussion, and then you can also ask questions. So we're leaving Colombia now, and we're going all the way to Georgia with our friend Ucha Seturi from the Telecom Operator Association of Georgia. So Ucha, are you there? And please share with us the Georgian, let's say, experience. Go ahead, please. Thanks. Just unmute your mic and then go ahead.
Hello. Thanks. Do you hear me? Sorry for this technical.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hello. Thanks for inviting me. It's a big honor to be here and to participate and to share Georgian experience, what we have now, and how we can help and support Haitian society with our knowledge. First of all, I'm Ucha Seturi. I'm working for Telecom Operator Association. I'm part of the Georgia Internet Society chapter, and I was coordinating two projects actually in Georgia, supported by the Internet Society. First of all, it's a truncated project in highlands of Georgia with a different scale, and then I want to tell about the next project replication of truncated project in the next to the truncated place in Georgia highlands near the Russian border. Actually, it's Chechen and Ingushetian border part. So very briefly about this area, you see the information about this area. The highest locations, the settlements is up to 3,000 meters from the sea level, and the most important part that's it is very remote area, and because of the heavy snow, it's closed from the rest of Georgia for 6, sometimes for 7 months. I mean, for driving reasons. With the owner of the network, the owner of the network is a local community NGO, Mountain Community Network, and it was supported and created with support of US aid. I mean, to find the local leaders to help them to make some union to go forward. The project fund is up to $200,000 US, and operational cost now is about also it's about $2,000 US, but it depends per month. We started this project years ago, and right now we are about to finish our activities. What's important and what can we share about the Georgian regulations and the policy environment here? First of all, in Georgia, because of the harmonization with the European Union and also some requirement with ITU, we have no licensing in our reality. So for activity in this field, you need just a general online authorization. So after that, you don't need any permissions for providing some for rollout of the network, for using of the radio frequencies, etc. You're just paying regulatory fee to the regulatory body. And what's also important in this project, after Tusheti, it was very important and successful for Georgian society. So government decided to be the part of this next ongoing project. So right now they are mine donors of our Chauke Surete and Buddha Mahara, this Highlands ongoing project. Yesterday, Max shared information about the technical point of the project. So we have the same situation here. We are using solar and wind energy. Just have mostly it's a solar energy, but we have also a few sites with wind energy because two locations are very high, more than 3,000 meters from the sea level. So it's very smoky and cloudy. So it's not working. Solar energy is not working. So we are using wind energy. Hardware, we are using three main brands. Mostly it's Ubiquiti and Cambium and Microtik for routing. About another part of our technical activities, we are doing our own masts and solar column mounts and also boxes and other hardware for the rest of the equipments. And as an employer, we are using, I'm a chair of the Telecom Operators Association, so we are using the help our members and the small and medium enterprise, I mean the small internet service providers. They are not going inside of the area because it's expensive, but they are ready and happy to help us in this good job. And also we are using volunteers, I mean the local society members and some other people who are happy to go and help us with these rollout activities. This is very boring chart with general information, but it's showing the parties who are participating in this process. First of all, Internet Society, who is a how to say relation starter with Ministry of Economy of Georgia, because after Tusheti, I said the government was very happy with this previous project in Tusheti area. So right now we have a few donors, Czech Embassy and also local municipality and other guys. We have also many in-kind supporters. You see the vendors, I mean Cambium and Telecom Group, they are vendors and they gave for free few devices and gave trainings and etc. for without any extra money. And also mobile operator is a third biggest mobile operator here. Actually, it's SMT, I mean significant market power operator, but they are also in and are helping us with free colocation and free electricity access. And finally, Association, Telecom Association and its members, they are helping remotely and on-site also to roll out, to give free access to the mine backbone network through the fiber optics and etc. with any activities, with any direction, with trainings, and with some other related activities. So what are main challenges for our project and what the main issues? The biggest issue actually is to find the local leaders and volunteers, people who are really interested to do some important social job and most important part for free, because they are doing and they are solving their own ongoing problems. Another one is Highland. In Highlands we have strict winter, minus degrees and avalanches and etc. So it's always creating some obstacles and bottlenecks there. Another part is it's very common in for community networks. It's business sustainability because in rural areas and remote areas, people have some challenges related with income. So sometimes we have no choice. We have to give access and creating some special tariffs for the local settlements. And the last one I want to highlight is differences on the planning, because in the beginning, 1 year ago or 2 years ago, actually, sorry, we made the planning with national regulatory body with their application for covering this territory, but the reality was different. For example, in the beginning, we was planning to build 27 sites, but right now we have about 52 sites, and it's not enough. And finally, what we have now, right now we have my network is finished. We have end users and 9 schools, but unfortunately, the total amount of the children there is 120 kids. Minimal speed is 10 megabit per second. We are using local society members as our team members, and we are paying salary for them. We have some incomes and using this for future development. And want to highlight one important point from my point of view. We have there 3 big villages, so they are creating a scale to cover all amount of the to cover all operational costs, not all, but most, about 90% of operational costs. And the last important point that we have agreement with internet societies that profit have to be up to 10%. So, and the local NGO will be owner of the network, will use this for local society needs. So thank you for your attention, and I'm ready for your questions. Thank you. Shannon? Hello?
Yeah, it appears that Shernon has possibly dropped off his connection. He certainly has. Well, let's not let that stop us. We shall move on to our next panelists. So, Karla, Velasco, if you'd like to take it away.
Thank you. Hello. Okay, so I'm about to share. Okay. So I'm going to talk about community networks in Mexico. So we've already heard about Colombia and Georgia. And even though we have different contexts and are different countries, we have a lot of similarities in the sense of the deployment of the community networks. So the context of Mexico, especially the context for community networks and the community networks we work with. Sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I forgot to do that. I am Karla Velasco, and I work in an organization which is called Redes por la Diversidad, Equidad y Sustentabilidad. And I am the International Affairs Coordinator. So in this introduction that I'm currently doing, what we do in Redes, the organization I work with, is that we accompany community networks, and we accompany community communication processes for indigenous communities in Mexico. So this is why I do this relation to the context. So in the sense of community networks have been created mostly in indigenous communities and in different territories around the country. So if you look at the screen, you can see that we have the map of Mexico, and we have some states colored. And these are the states where there are currently community networks, and these are the community networks we work with. Of course, the states are very, very big. These communities are inside the states. For example, in the case of Oaxaca, which is in pink, there are around 40 community networks or 45 community networks only inside the Oaxaca state. And in Chiapas, we have other cases of 2 community networks. In Michoacán, we have currently 1 community network, and in Nayarit, another community network, and in Puebla, we're also sharing experiences with a very big organization and indigenous communities that want to create their own community networks. So in this sense, as I mentioned before, it has more to do with the community communication process. These communities have been have existed for a very long time. They are indigenous communities. They still speak their own languages. They still have their own ways of organizing themselves, their own authorities. And in this sense, they don't only want to connect themselves, but they also want to see themselves reflected in the network. So in this sense, the community networks want to create their own content. They want to have their own media. You can see in the picture these children doing an interview because they want to see themselves in their networks. So they want to create this content and have it around and share it with other communities as well. And it's also because of organizational purposes. So each one of these communities have their own way of organizing themselves. So the community networks help them in this organizational way of creating and establishing relationships inside the communities. So this is sort of a very broad context, a very fast explanation of the community networks in Mexico. So I'm going to talk about 2 cases. This is the case of a cellular mobile telephony, which is currently working in the state of Oaxaca, which we saw in the map before. And while Oaxaca is a very big state, it has a lot of indigenous groups. And it's actually the state in Mexico that has the most number of indigenous groups with different indigenous languages and indigenous traditions. So a lot of these communities, as previously shared in the other presentations, these communities are in rural areas, very hard to reach. They don't have any access to telecommunication. There's no signal or there's no internet normally. And this project, which is called Telecomunicaciones Indígenas Comunitarias, is a cellular mobile telephony that was created for and from the communities, you can see here in this next slide. It's a Mexican community cell operator in unattended areas where commercial operators have been unable to reach. So there are currently 60 communities that are part of Telecomunicaciones Indígenas Comunitarias with around 4,400 users. You can see I shared the webpage here, you can write it down. Because in this webpage, we have a publication which is called the Manual for Cellular Mobile Telephony. And even though it's in Spanish, I believe somehow Spanish and French can be sort of similar. So perhaps you can find some useful information for the creation of a community network. This manual shares the whole story of the community network. And this is a very unique community network because it has a license. It is a very similar situation to what Lilian explained from Colnodo, in the case in Colombia, where in Mexico, with the help of the government and the regulators, we were able to acquire a license for the use of spectrum. So with this license, this cooperative, which is Telecomunicaciones Indígenas Comunitarias, can use the spectrum and therefore can provide service for the communities. So this is one of the cases. It is a very interesting case. I encourage you that if you have any questions, you can raise them afterwards. And I'm going to the next case, which is the Jagnoptic Intrabatch, which is a community Wi-Fi provider. This project is in Chiapas. You might also have seen it on the map. It's in the south of Mexico. It's also state with a lot of indigenous population. And in this sense, this community Wi-Fi started as a community hotspot, let's say. So in many communities in Mexico, it is very normal that there are informal internet providers that create point-to-point access points in order to connect small villages and small communities. Most of these providers are not legal. Some of them are. This is one of the difficulties. It is somehow difficult for them to get a license or to get a permit. But anyway, in this case, this is a community where they have these access points where you can access internet, perhaps not with a great quality, but you can access the internet. But in this community network, they also have a bank of education and relevant digital content for the community. So when you access the network, you have two options: either pay for access to internet, which is very cheap, but you have to pay for it, or stay in the local network. So what they have is a local network which is closed. They have a server located inside the community, and people can access this server in order to navigate in this bank of education and relevant digital content. So I have a video here. It's a very fast video which gives sort of a tour of the intranet. Just let me mute this. Here. Okay, so here you can see how it looks. This is the web page, and they have some pictures on it. They have some educational content for primary school, basic school, secondary school, and high school. And all of that is inside the server. There's no need to connect to the internet. So students from the community can access to this information, and it helps them with homeworks, with in case they have any questions. They have Khan Academy, Wikipedia, all of it is inside the server. And as you can see, they are looking at videos right now. Those are videos from inside the community. And well, this is just like a very broad example of what they have. So they have many books downloaded, a whole library inside. So this is useful because then students don't need to connect to the internet, but they have access to the content thanks to this server. And the access is very quick and very not also quick, but also it has very relevant content and it's of good quality. So I'm going to the next slide. So some of the successes and challenges that we have seen with the community networks in Mexico are that, for example, the successes is that we have active members inside the communities. We focus a lot on the methodology when the community networks are deployed, because if there's only just, I don't know, 5 people interested, it's very nice to have a small number of people interested. But if we don't have the whole community involved, the sustainability of the project might be at risk afterwards. Afterwards. So it is important to have the participation of the community and involve the community in the whole process, in the thinking of the community network, in the installation of the community network. We have girls, women, young people, older people involved in the installation and the designing of the infrastructure. As I've mentioned before, we've also had the support from regulators and ministries here in Mexico, which provided us with the license, and they are open for more support all the time. And also we have seen that there's access to knowledge and technical skills. We've been working on some workshops that can provide the people with multiple skills and multiple information, so they can be the technicians of the network. So we don't have people from outside coming to the community and solving technical issues, and that we have people inside the community that can solve the technical issues, and not also men, but also women and girls and and older people, that they can be related to the devices and to the infrastructure of the network, to coding and even installing the network. So that's one of the successes. The challenges are that even though we have access to spectrum, we believe is insufficient. I forgot to mention this, but in the case of the cellular mobile telephony, the telephony is only for calls and SMS. It doesn't have any data or internet, so this is a very limited thing for the communities, because they can call themselves and text themselves, but obviously the internet is missing. And this is not because of the technology, this is because the frequency that we're using in the country. We also lack backbone access and fiber access. We know in Mexico, for example, that we can connect many communities, but we don't have access to the backbone, to the government's infrastructure, or to the big telecom operators' infrastructure. So that is one challenge. And in the case of taxes, at the beginning, we were facing some very high taxes, because we were seen as a normal operator, but we are a social operator. So we had some legal battles over there that we won. So now we don't have to pay the taxes. But it was obviously one of the main problems when the cellular mobile telephony started. And in the case of sustainability, even though we encourage people to be involved and the community to be involved, we still have low technical and administrative skills. And as Lilian mentioned, in the case of Colombia, there's low investment in the case of the communities, for the community networks. So if we could manage to find more investment from different stakeholders in order to install more community networks, then we could do a lot more than we're doing now. So I believe this is the last slide, sorry. So based upon our research on community networks here in Mexico and in other countries, we see that the community networks are based upon 4 essential elements. So first is the organizational base, as I mentioned before, is the main base of the community network, which is the community itself. So it says here, the social support, which allows the community to operate a network through a community-based approach. This social grounding also allows many communities to manage a concession, license, and provide maintenance services and personal training. The other essential element is an infrastructural base, which are the material and human resources infrastructure that form the basis for the community to acquire the necessary skills for operating the service, as well as the maintenance and development of applications and innovation. It's also identifying the right technology for the communities and their organizations. Then we have the economic base, which is a business plan. And this economic base is also the base of sustainability. And fourth, it's the legal base, the legal framework of the network. How is it regulated and which norms are applicable? So we believe that if 3 of these are strong, then the community network can be sustainable. So what we try to do here in Mexico is that the community networks that we work with have solid bases. And in these bases, we include the organizational, infrastructural, economic, and legal bases. So I believe this is the last slide now. And this is my contact information in case you want to ask more questions and share comments. I'm going to go back. And
Thank you, Karla. Shernon. We do have Shernon back now. So Shernon, would you like to take over and move to the Q&As? Failing that.
Shernon is not here. Max might be able to step in.
Perfect. Max Stucchi, would you like to join us?
I am, yes, I'm coming. I'm just raising my desk, so I'm getting there. Let me turn my camera on. So I wasn't supposed to be speaking today, but here we are. We're always ready for this. So I've seen a question in the Q&A that was about Mexico. Karla, you didn't include the role of the government. Is there a reason for this, or was it something that you gave for granted?
I believe I mentioned it a couple of times, how the government helped us on getting the license, and how the government has been very supportive in the sense of I forgot the word in English, but giving us the frequencies and seeing how the network can be improved. So we've been working together with the government for some years now, and we have a very good relationship. But as I also mentioned before, we are using frequencies that might not be the best for the deployment of community networks. So we also have that issue that we're currently having. We're currently dialoguing with the government.
Okay, I see. Thank you for the question. For the answer. Sorry. I don't see any other questions in the chat for today. Yesterday we had a few. Jane. Yes, please.
And actually, this is for all of our participants. Sorry, I have the wrong background going. I was on another meeting. I would love to know, Karla, what the top 3 things were for you when you got started with some of the networks you've gotten started. And I know you have that excellent diagram, but what were some of the other things about getting started as a community network? And I'd like to hear also from Ucha and Lilian. So what were the top 3 things that helped you get started? Because this is a key thing, I think, for our colleagues in Haiti. They have a lot of great experience, but what is it that your top 3 things from experience?
I talked before, so I don't know if they want to start first because I just talked now.
Cici, that's a good point. Ucha, do you want to start, or Lilian?
Yeah. Sure. Well, thanks, Jay, for asking. Most important 3 points what I want to highlight for our Haitian colleagues. First of all, to find the real local leaders, people from society, from the field, the guys who are ready to solve their own problems. Because from our point of view, from Georgia perspective, this is most important part of this activity. Another part is to push and to to push the local government, the people who are working on site, because they have to be our partners, because we have local supporters, right of ways, a lot of small stuff when you're working, when you're doing something on the site. And and also to push the central government and the regulatory body, because in Georgia, after involvement of internet society, yes, after truncated, but we have government as a donor, because they have to solve local problems. And this is most important part of the local society, because they don't need electricity, don't need other supplies, don't need the road, but they need connectivity. So local government have to be and will be the part of this activity. Thanks.
Thank you, Ucha. Lilian?
Yes.
Yes.
I would like to start. Yes, begin with something maybe simple, but then you can learn, you can know people, you can know experiences, you can know equipment, and then you can grow after some time. Then I think that is important. Start with something, start creating the community networks, and try to speak with people who have experience from other countries and also from small operators. They know the market, they know the technology, they know the territory. Then try to speak, try to share knowledge in solidarity. I think it's important for community networks work different. It is not about competence, yeah. It is more about work together. Yes, it is more about work together, speak with people, and try to share knowledge.
Thank you, Lilian. And now, Karla.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I completely agree with Ucha and Lilian. We've made a lot of mistakes, so don't be afraid of having of failing, because from failure you learn a lot. So one thing Ucha mentioned, which is very important, is to have the participation of the community itself, because for example, here in Mexico, there are a lot of connectivity projects, even from the government, where they go to the communities, install antennas, and then the antennas work for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and then something happens, the antenna stops working, and no one knows how to repair it, or the program is no longer available, and the antenna is left there. So if you really want something that can last and that can be participative and that can be inclusive, it is very important to have the participation of the community, and also to know that you can make mistakes together, because sometimes, because you come from the outside, they expect you to be as an operator. If you come and give a service and you are not doing that, you're being included into a participatory process where you are learning together and where you are failing together. And this means that you need to accompany the community alongside the process. So it's also, it's not only that they get connected, but you also learn a lot. And well, that's I think that would be like a very important part, because once you have that, then all the infrastructure issues or economic issues or even the legal issues can be faced together if you have a good team and a community basis. So I think that's very important. And also, just to complement to what Lilian said, just to invite you, because we are many people that are involved in the community networks agenda, in the community networks movement, from all around the world. So don't be afraid to ask. Don't be shy. There are many of us that didn't know how to code and now code. Many of us that never thought about going on top of an antenna, and we did, on top of a tower, and we already did it. So don't be afraid of reaching out. And we are a lot of us that we can help. So don't be afraid of reaching out.
Thank you, Karla. And I guess this partially also answers the question we have in the queue. That is, how do you deal with the people to implement the community networks in terms of strategies? And this is specifically directed to you, Karla. That is about. I think you've partially already answered, saying we do this all together, and we do this as a real community, and we will make mistakes, but we do them together. Yes.
Yes, exactly. I think that's the answer and the most important part of it.
Yeah. Thank you. So I'll hand it back to Shernon, who is back from.
Yes, I have had some challenges, so I need to have a community network in my own home as well. So while we're preaching this, I've seen the trouble here firsthand. So just one question that we had yesterday that we, and I think maybe Lilian, Ucha, and Karla, maybe you can help our Haitian friends. Yesterday we had a discussion regarding unlicensed bands that we are using, especially when we're dealing with community networks. Most of the times we are dealing with unlicensed bands. So what can you tell us using these unlicensed bands? What can you tell us with respect to the security of these unlicensed bands? Or is it maybe better to pay for, let's say, for licensed spectrum to get a much, let me call it, better quality of service? So that's basically one of the questions that we got from one of the participants at the event yesterday. So the use of unlicensed bands, that's basically what we're using, but is that the way that we should go, or should we think about using licensed bands? Yes, go ahead, Ucha, just unmute and go ahead, please.
Yeah, sure. It's a good question, but we have choices. First of all, most important part of this is a cheap equipment from Ubiquiti and MikroTik. But in the areas where we have some issues or questions related with some influence or interference, we are using expensive hardware for this. I mean, cambium radio equipment because of these reasons. But in high mountain areas, we have no any interference. It's super clean. That's why we have a backbone connection right now, more than 1G, and we can add some additional dishes, and it will be double or triple. So it's another big challenge for us because our radio frequencies is free in highlands. Thanks.
Okay, other thoughts on that?
Yes.
Lilian, maybe?
Yes, I think it's a good thing to start using that kind of bands because it's easier. There is a lot of equipment available. Then you can start to experiment, and then if you need, you can access to other frequencies, maybe for long distance links, or if you want a specific technology like mobile technology or something like that. But I think it's a good. You can start with those ones, and as Ucha said, it works very well in many spaces and many territories.
Okay, thank you. So Howie, maybe we can go with the next question in the queue. Are there other questions? Howie, can you assist me in that regard and just
the questions, next questions. Okay, open questions. We have, here we go. Community networks are applicable more in rural areas, according to you. Well, do you want to talk about that? Community networks, rural versus city locations.
Did you guys get a question? So it's more with respect to talk about community networks. Should we focusing only on rural areas, or we should also be focusing, let's say, on the city or whatever? So what are your thoughts about that?
Well, just I think maybe our experience is more in rural areas, but there are other experiences that that have community networks also in urban areas, no? Like in Argentina, for example, in Buenos Aires, there is a very good example called Atalaya Sur. And here in Colombia also, there are some networks in Bogota and in Medellin that are big cities, but in maybe some neighborhoods that don't have enough service or enough providers. Then it's not just for rural areas. I think it's also for urban.
Okay, thanks. So I think basically what we're trying to do here is to help, let's say, our friends in Haiti who they are focusing on deployment of a community network. So that is why we have been focusing, looking at 3 countries, what have been the experiences, and then based on that, they can take their own measures to say, okay, we should go in this particular direction. So my question to all of you would be, I'm sure you will answer yes, but I would like to hear from you. Are you willing and able to help our friends in Haiti, and not only in Haiti, but also in the wider Caribbean, to deploy community networks with your experience and what you have gone through? If you can help us in that regard, and are you willing maybe to help us further with development of a plan or whatever? Can I hear a verbal yes?
Yeah, sure.
Yes,
And
yes, of course.
we can share everything what you like to take from us.
Yes,
Yeah, sure.
Yes, that would be great.
Shannon, we have one more question here. Is what's the level of ownership of the local population in all of this? So what's the ownership in the actual community networks?
So what the community networks in Mexico try to do is that since the beginning to have a participative process. So the people from the community feel ownership of the network. So at the end, we want everyone to feel included. We want people to feel that they own the network and that they participate in the network. So I think it's since the beginning you have to start this process, and you have to get the people involved in order to, but because it's also important for the sustainability of the network. So it's the ownership is very important. And Ucha was nodding and saying this.
Yeah, the same here, same Georgia, because we are taking funding, we are creating this, I would say, toy, and owner of this network, owner of this incomes and everything is a local society members. So same in Georgia.
Yes, Jane, did you leave already? Because I would like to give you, let's say, your final remarks before you leave, or did you leave already? Jane has left?
I think she has already left, yes.
Oh, okay, it's fine. So I think we need to wrap up. We're already over time. So I'm looking in the direction of Obed Cindy as the chair of the Haitian chapter. So I think, Obed, what we have done, we have had some discussions regarding, let's say, policy matters, and also, let's say, technical matters with respect to community networks. We are not there as yet. So this is a work in progress. We still have to do a lot. But I think you have seen, and that, we have partners around the globe that are willing and able to assist us in that regard. So with that, I would like to thank all of you. I would like to thank Lilian. I would like to thank Ucha and Karla for sharing with us your experience, and also our own team at International Society as well, to Max Stucchi for being a backup while I got in all these challenges with my own connectivity, with Howie, all of us. So rest assured that we are here to serve, and we will continue keep in touch and to see how we can get much more community networks deployed, not only in the Caribbean, but in the whole world. So with that, I would like to thank you all, and I'll give Obed, as the chair of the Haitian chapter, the opportunity to say then his final comments. Obed, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shernon. Thank you to all the panelists. It was a quick event on community networks. So we will work on that, and we are very happy to see how all our partners or all ISOC staff are interested in helping us in Haiti. So access for all, skills for all. So it will be interesting for our development of our country. Thank you, Shernon. Thank you for your help. Thank you, Jane Coffin. Thank you to all the panelists. Thank you.
Thank you all. Safe. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.